Much like my slow descent into madness, the Sonic the Hedgehog movies were inevitable. Sooner or later, the bigwigs in Hollywood were going to come together and say, "Hey, here's an IP we haven't exploited yet," and just like that, the official Sonic the Hedgehog live-action movie was announced. I joke, of course. I like these movies, and sometimes I'm a mature enough adult that I can look at them with enough objectivity to admit that they're not perfect. But they give me joy in different ways, and that's enough to satisfy me as both a moviegoer and a Sonic fan. Hi, I'm Talk. Here's my socials. This is a picture of a gopher I found online, and this is a video about the Sonic movies. Take it or leave it. Sonic Movie 1. We all know the story with this one. Bad first impression, back to the drawing board, movie delayed removing this creature from every shot to replace it with something more palatable. Mission accomplished. Good-looking Sonic, fun casting choice for Eggman, release set for 2020. What could possibly go wrong?
Terrible virus sweeps the nation and the government warns it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better.
Yeah, where I live, this movie was blindsided by a lockdown, but hey, at least I got to see it before that happened. It was fun. I enjoyed a lot of things from it. The redesign for Sonic was an obvious positive. Jim Carrey's Eggman was campy and interesting, as was his relationship with this guy, the absolute dreamboat known as Agent Stone. Biggest drawback for me? Buddy cop movie where Sonic doesn't do a whole lot of traveling on foot. Yeah, I get that we had this scene clearly showing that he had no idea which direction to go in, but come on, a bit more Sonic in my Sonic movie, please. Despite small nitpicks, I came away from this feeling happy. It feels like they had ideas for a direction they wanted to take this in, but opted to play it safe for the first theatrical release. And that's okay. I was just happy that this put Sonic in the mainstream attention again in a positive way. Sonic Movie 2 shifted things up very nicely. More game elements and a slightly larger budget expanded on the first movie, making it feel like a bigger story. Just like the first movie, not perfect. It has some slow moments that I've seen discussed a lot, mostly complaints about the wedding sequence dragging on for too long without much of an impact on the plot. Side note, this criticism of the movie is entirely valid, and even though it serves as a narrative purpose to introduce the gun agency to the movieverse, it's also valid to say that it could have been done in a faster and less intrusive way. That said, I love this lady. Natasha Rothwell is a queen of comedic timing, and if you can't appreciate funny women, then I don't know what to tell you. Speaking of fun characters, thanks to their on-screen chemistry in the first movie, Agent Stone returns in a slightly bigger role. And a very confusing one, too. Don't give up, Stone. One day he'll notice your genius. The introduction of the Chaos Emeralds and Knuckles, played by Idris Elba, was also a welcome change to the formula. Knuckles went from being kind of dim-witted to a credible threat, with social awkwardness. I'm a big fan of that change. He's not dumb, he's just not that great with people. He's like me. Eggman is much closer to his game counterpart in this movie too, and he's even got his signature Eggmobile. And the Death Egg robot appears in the finale too. Overall, I felt that the movie was leaps and bounds better than the first, and the post-credit sequence revealing Shadow the Hedgehog was just icing on the cake. While waiting for Shadow's arrival in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, we were given the remarkably confusing pleasure of enjoying the Knuckles show, which was fine. I'm not going to pretend I think the show was a strong addition to the movieverse, but at the same time, I'm also not going to pretend that it was the worst piece of Sonic media that I've ever seen. You can tell what issues it has from a single watch. It isn't hard to decipher, not enough Knuckles, a bit too much Wade, a pointless villain that comes and goes without any fanfare, a bewildering and unwanted plotline about bowling, and the less said about this character, the better. My mother always told me that if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. No disrespect to Edie Patterson, but this character is beyond saving. And just like that, we're caught up, but I'm not done yet. These movies have done things for me, and I wanted to share some of those things with you. So, like I said earlier, I'm happy that the mainstream perception of Sonic has changed for the better since these movies released. Thanks to their popularity, Sonic has had a significant boost in attention. I guess you could call it a Sonic boom. When I was a small talk, a toy I always wanted was Lego Sonic. We now have Lego Sonic. My only regret is that I'm too old to play with toys now, so I just buy them and leave them in their boxes. No, seriously, I just buy them and look at the boxes, that's all I do. My own enjoyment of Sonic has increased tenfold. It's nice to engage with the IP now that it takes itself a bit more seriously instead of self-deprecating as often as it used to. It's nice to see younger people in my family looking forward to Sonic media, knowing that at any point I can just yank something out of my vast library of Sonic junk to share with them. I mentioned in a previous video that I began collecting sealed Nintendo Switch games. Well, I also began collecting sealed Sonic games and more. But those things pale in comparison to two of the coolest things that have happened. Some time ago, the actor behind Agent Stone, Lee Majdoub, was streaming one of my all-time favorite horror games on Twitch, Dead Space.
Oh! What are you? What are you? That started so fast!
Along with a few other nice folks, I offered him some tips here and there when he got stuck, and even helped moderate his chat. This led to some casual chatter, and he was even kind enough to send me this signed copy of the movie. And then finally, while spending some time in London to film a project of completely unknown description, Lee was kind enough to meet up with me and my two good friends for a bit of light-hearted banter. The funniest part? This was at London Comic Con back in March, so there were more than a few people dressed up as Robotnik who instantly recognized him. It was wild to see somebody cause so much happiness at once, and in the unlikely event that you're one of those people from that convention back in March, feel free to tag me on Twitter with some of the photos you took. I'd love to see them. Lee was a gentleman and had a lot of interesting stories to tell about acting, people he's worked with, and his own life. March also marks an important day in the United Kingdom. March 30th is Mother's Day. Why do I mention this? Because my mother is a fan of these movies. Every new movie that drops, we see together as part of a little tradition, and both movies have had multiple trips to the theater. For me, that is the coolest thing of all. A lot of people go to the movies with their parents all the time, but it's very rare that anybody in my family does that sort of thing. Going to the movies with my mom is rare, but a much loved activity. So multiple watches of a movie we both enjoy? That's the coolest thing that these movies have given me. In fact, my mother may be a bigger Sonic dweeb than I am. Her ringtone is Stars in the Sky by Kid Cudi, for crying out loud. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Why bring up Mother's Day? Like I said, my mom enjoys the Sonic movies and likes Agent Stone. She would have loved to meet Lee back in March, but sadly it couldn't happen. So, on Mother's Day, Lee gave my mom a call over the phone to wish her well. I asked him if I can share this information on video, and he seemed okay with it. I'm hoping that's still the case and that I'm not embarrassing him. So ultimately, I'm grateful for these movies for giving kids what I wanted when I was a kid. I'm grateful for how they've elevated the IP into something bigger and better than it was a few years ago. I'm grateful to the people involved in the process who seem to be trying their best to make something awesome. I'm grateful to people like Lee, and I'm grateful that my mom shares my enjoyment. Now, if you guys could just hurry up with that Sonic Movie 3 trailer, I'd be a lot happier because this is really starting to take the piss.
Thanks for watching this video. If you like what you saw, you know what to do. I got more videos if you want to look. I also stream on Twitch 6 days a week. But if that's not your cup of tea, then fair enough. I gotta plug myself, you know. Okay, bye.